Hey guys, what is happening? AnimetalViking here, and today I am going to be talking about why I believe that lyricism in music should not affect the name of the genre it is given. Now, let me get something clear before carrying on with this. I am not bashing people who like to categorize music as such using this thought process. I am merely expressing why I do not understand this thought process and why I think it can be in some ways damaging to a particular style of music and actually prevent the audience from growing. So let's start off with probably the most common example, and by the way, I'm talking about this entirely from the perspective of a metalhead, being a metalhead myself. I'm entirely speaking from that point of view. I am not speaking from any other kind of view. So let's get started with the most basic and obvious one. Let's take the melodic death metal band Amon Amarth are often labeled as Viking metal, and the reason why this happens is because of the way they present themselves image-wise, and also their lyrics. Their lyrics are all about Norse mythology and Viking history. However, the frontman himself, Johan Hegg, has stated in an interview that even he doesn't understand this thought process because there's nothing about their music that sounds Viking. I mean, yes, you may feel like a Viking in battle while listening to them, but there is nothing about their music that sounds Viking. They don't use any traditional Scandinavian music in their songs, and if they did, they would be a folk metal band. So even in that case, even if they were to incorporate that stuff there, even though it would feel Viking then, like authentically Viking at that point in time, if they decided to do that, they would ultimately in the end become a folk metal band, because every country in the world has its own traditional folk music, and we don't go around labeling different styles of folk metal based on the country where they come from. You know, we just call it one big blanket term, folk metal. So another prime example, and this is one I actually like to laugh at a lot, is the term alien core. And I mean, I get it's mostly a joke within the community, but I'm pretty sure there are people out there who take it very seriously. Alien core is used to describe the band Rings of Saturn. And Rings of Saturn are basically a technical deathcore / technical death metal band who happen to sit about, extraterrestrial stuff, conspiracy theories, and all that kind of stuff. And for some strange reason now they are alien core. There's literally nothing in their sound that sounds alien. They sound like deathcore, albeit a bit more technical. They sound like deathcore. They sure as hell do not sound alien. I mean, I just find it to be a very silly thought process, and just because I find it silly doesn't mean I'm telling people that they are stupid or anything for doing so. I mean, you are free to do whatever the hell you want. I mean, and I'm certainly not forcing my opinion or my view on this onto any of you guys who actually like to sort your music in that sort of way, but it's just something that I've never really understood and just cannot get behind, because I mean, the entire if you look at the history of how music garnered its different genre and subgenre labels, it's all based on how it sounds. Like, let's make a few examples. Melodic death metal. It is death metal that is melodic sounding, as opposed to just, how straight up death metal sounds. Folk metal. It is metal music that has a lot of traditional folk music elements incorporated into it. Symphonic metal. It is metal music that has a lot of orchestral and symphonic elements added to it. Let's take another. Deathcore. Deathcore is music that sounds like a blend of death metal and or I cannot speak today. Deathcore sounds like death metal with either metalcore and or hardcore. That is, it literally, it describes the sound of it. So where some people get terminologies like Viking metal, pirate metal, pagan metal, and whatnot, and alien core, I'll never understand the thought process behind it. And I mean, whether this stems from the fans of these bands in question, or whether it stems from the bands themselves who openly profess that they are said genre, it's just something that I never really understood. I mean, I guess maybe they trying to call themselves that to make them stand out from the pack or something like that, or it's just a joke, among the people in the community. But the thing is this: I see it as something that is very harmful to music in general, because let's face it, your average music listener is the chances of them when it comes to listening to music, they are into mainstream pop music. And one of the common arguments that these people use against, genres that aren't as popular and are, a lot of the ones that fall under alternative subcultures, is the prime argument they will always use is, I can't understand what they're saying, and all that stuff. And while you may be thinking, well, if we label stuff like this, it will actually get them to check it out because we are telling them what the lyrics are about. That's the problem. Because if you go telling a person, like let's just say this person who's been listening to pop for most of their life suddenly discovers metal, and you are going to introduce them to a bunch of bands. Now, this person in question is liking the metal music not because of, what the band is singing about and stuff. They are liking it because of how it makes them feel, and because it makes them want to be more badass or something like that, like how we all felt when we initially discovered this style of music. They want it to be like that, and then they say, hey man, can you give me some recommendations? And then you're like, oh sure, check out this Viking metal band. Granted, the person could just be wanting more and just hop on and be like, hell yeah, sure, I'll check it out. But I'm pretty sure that if a newcomer hears this, they are gonna be like, Viking metal, what's that? And then you respond with, oh, they are a band that sings about Viking mythology and Viking history. I am pretty sure that will be an immediate turn-off, because to these people, when they listen to the music, they want to feel a badass while listening to something that sounds badass. I'm pretty sure that when most people got into metal music initially, they did not research the lyrics. It was probably only years later, as they started to appreciate the lyricism in metal music, that they decided to research it, find out what it means, what it's a metaphor for, and all that stuff. That generally happens as metalheads get older. But when you initially hear it, you couldn't give two shits. And I'm speaking from experience, from not just myself, but with my friends too, who are into metal music. We did not give a shit about what the lyrics were about when we first discovered it. We just cared about feeling badass and listening to badass music. So if you go and say, oh, this is Viking metal, oh, this is pagan metal, or something like that, it's an immediate turn-off, I think, because these people will be like, I don't want to listen to music that could have these lyrics that are singing about stuff that I have absolutely no fucking idea about, and if I don't do research on them immediately straight away, I will come off as this total poser newbie who does not understand anything about the stuff, whatever, and it will make me feel like less of a metalhead, whatever. Like, I can guarantee right now that will probably be the most common response if you were to say to a person, here, check out this band, they are said thing. Also, another thing that could potentially lead to them not wanting to check it out is if it's a genre like, if you say, oh, they are I don't know, satanic metal. If you wanted to call black metal that all of a sudden, I'm pretty damn sure the moment you say that, they're going to be like, okay, my initial thoughts and stereotypes about the genre were absolutely right. They were absolutely correct. Whereas if you just say, oh, they're a black metal band, they will be like, black metal? What is that? They'll listen to it, they'll check it out, and they'll be like, oh, it sounds eerie and, you know, very creepy and whatever. And then they might wind up liking it, they might wind up hating it, but regardless whether they become a fan of it or not, initially when they listen to it, they won't know. They might be able to take a guess if looking at the album art, but in general, if you just, I don't know, give them some music on a burnt disc or something with a compilation of different songs and stuff, I'm pretty damn sure they are not going to know. Because, you know, they are newcomers. They're not on that level where they can quite understand or hear the lyrics clearly with their ears, because they haven't been listening to it long enough. So that's just my thoughts and opinions on it. I mean, what gives it... How do lyrics give sound to some? I mean, sure, they can. A sound can remind you of something. It can make you think of something. But ultimately, I don't think it should be, labeled in the way of the lyrics. Because I mean, again, I think I said it earlier. My memory's going fucked. I think I said it earlier in the vlog. I mean, what if I start a death metal band and we clearly sound like Dying Fetus, but instead of our lyrics being about the stuff that Dying Fetus sing about, it's about anime or something? Does that make us anime metal as opposed to being just death metal? No, I mean... if I did start a band that did that, we'd be a death metal band, even if we're not singing about the traditional stuff that death metal bands cover. So I'll never understand this kind of thought process. But I mean, again, I have to reiterate it again, because this is 2017, everyone gets triggered, everyone gets offended over every single last thing a person says on the internet. I am not bashing people who think this way and think it's okay to label things as such. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want. And I sure as hell am not forcing this opinion that I have on it onto you. You can carry on doing it if you feel that's the way you want to do things. But I am just expressing how I do not understand the entire thought process behind this kind of thing, and also how I think it could potentially drive any newcomers away from actually checking the genre out. Because I mean, I'll never forget when I first got into metal, apart from not caring what the lyrics were about, I was very wary at the time about bands that, you know, because me being the youngster that I was, don't mean to make myself sound like an old man, but anyway, me being the youngster that I was still very much wary of the lyrics and the way a band would portray themselves as, which is why I've only started getting into some bands now, because over time I've learned that maybe they are presenting themselves in this way and using these kinds of lyrics as maybe as a metaphor for something and to reflect our society, as opposed to actually being for that particular thing. And I've started to become more aware that there are bands who, you know, maybe have present themselves as this thing, but they are actually a complete and total parody of what it actually is. So, you know, basically mocking their own genre, just making fun of it just for the lols, just for the laughs, you know? So, but that was something I never understood at the time as a newcomer. So that's why I say labeling something based upon its lyrics is something I just cannot get behind. And I mean, if you guys, if any of you out there who actually do this kind of thing, again, if you want to do it, go ahead. I'm not stopping you and I'm not forcing this onto you. I am merely expressing why I think it is very harmful to, you know, growing an audience, and just overall how it leads to a hell of a lot more confusion. I mean, I don't know. I've pretty much explained everything here. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this entire ordeal? Do you like to label stuff based on its lyrics, or do you like to label it based on its sound, or do you not like to label anything at all? Let me know in the comments below. Also, guys, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not already done so. Please be sure to check out the main channel as well, where I post most of my stuff. And also, just be sure to follow me on all my different social media platforms, which is Facebook, Twitter, and you can send me a friend request over on my anime list. And be sure to check out my Patreon and consider donating if you want to keep the channels going, and check for access to some really awesome reward tiers. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and until the next episode, take care and have a kick-ass day.